Welcome back everyone. So following the internship of OIBSIP in Mobile for September 1, 2023, this is the task 4 for Android application development. So in the task 4 we are required to create an quiz app where the user can answer some of the questions and see their result. So I have created this simple quiz app where the user can play the quiz and then see the scores and their progress as well. So there are three screens in this quiz application. The first one is the main screen. So in this main screen, the user can see what the application is about and they can input their username. So I have created this interface by using a simple design. So first there is a text view where is the title of the application, then there is a card where there are some of the features to hype up the user. So yeah, and there is also an edit text where the user can input their username, and finally there is a button, and when click it redirects to user to the second screen. So coming on to the second screen, the user can simply view the questions. So the question can be viewed in a text view, and similarly there is a simple image giving the user a sight insight of what the question is about. And there is also a progress bar where the user can see how many questions are there and what is the current question the user is currently on. So there are four options as well wrapped inside the text view. And finally there is a button from where user can navigate into the questions. Finally, on the third screen, it is a simple screen where the user can view the outcome of the entire quiz. So there is also the name of the user and the score they have gained. Similarly, there are two buttons where the user can redirect to the title screen or try the quiz again. So there are also some of the files that are required for this quiz application. So there are some of the images as well as the default design. There is also a red option, select option, and a green option. So the default design is displayed when the options of the quiz are simply displayed on the screen, whereas the green option is displayed when the user chooses a correct answer. Similarly, red for the wrong answer, and select when the user selects one of the four options. So let us go to the actual code of this project. So our project basically contains up to 5 classes in Kotlin. So coming on to the first class is called property question. So basically it contains all the properties that the question has. So first there is the question number, which has an integer data type. So what does this is this stores the question number. Similarly, the question title in string, image hint in int, option choice in list string. So what does this do is it stores a list of string so that the user can choose. Finally, there is also a right answer and it is stored in int. So it is basically the index of the right answer. There is also an option 1 which is stored in string, and it also has a getter which store the option choice stored in index of 0. So as this is a list, the first element starts from 0, and as we have 4 elements, it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3. So they all have their getter stored in appropriate index. So our project basically contains up to 5 classes in Kotlin. So coming on to the first class is called property question. So basically it contains all the properties that the question has. So first there is the question number, which has an integer data type. So what does this is this stores the question number. Similarly, the question title in string, image hint in int, option choice in list string. So what does this do is it stores a list of string so that the user can choose. Finally, there is also a right answer and it is stored in int. So it is basically the index of the right answer. So there is also an option 1 which is stored in string, and it also has a getter which store the option choice stored in index of 0. So as this is a list, the first element uh, starts from 0, and as we have 4 elements, it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, and they all have their getter stored in appropriate index. So our another class is property constants. So what this is a singleton class in Kotlin. So what singleton class is it is basically a class which instance can be used only once. So we have created three constants values. First one is username to define the user. The second one is total questions in our application, and the third one is correct answer. So after that, we have created a function named animal questions. So this animal question function calls an array list named property question. So we have also created a variable named question list which stores the array list of property question. So the first variable, first question, has the property question, and what it does is from the previous class, it takes all the attributes like the question number, question title, image hint, and list of for the options and as well as the right answer. So all these are coming from the properties that we have declared in the first class property question. So after all these attributes are set, then it is added to the question list array. So similarly, for the second question, it is also done the same. For the third question, it is also the same, and so on. But as there are only 5 questions in our application, which is for demo purposes, so we have only created 5 variables to store in our arrays. So coming on to the main activity, there is an onCreate method, and we have set the content view to activity main, and similarly we have also set the system UI visibility full screen. What does this do is it hides the status of your Android devices, meaning time, the battery, and the network status will be hidden by this code. Similarly, there is an click listener for the begin button. So when the user inputs a username, it converts it to the string and trims it. And if the username is empty, it displays a toast for short interval of time, allowing the user to enter a username and reminding the user to enter a username. And if the username is not empty, it begins the quiz. So we have also created a private function named begin quiz, which takes a parameter of a name username in string data type. So what does this do is first there is a variable named I. So what does this do? It takes the intent from this main activity and transition to the logic question class. Similarly, the username is then passed to the property constant where it stores this data in the uname variable. After that, the activity is started using the variable I, and it is finished for better navigation flow of the program. There is also a private function display toast, which is called here to display when the username is empty and the user clicks the begin button. So coming up to the another class logic questions KT. So what we have done is firstly we have just declared some of the package for using this application. Then we have declared the class logic questions as an app compat activity along with uh, implementing one-click listener and view. So there are also some of the variables like question number, question list, choose the option, total correct answer, and username store. So these are all the private variables. So what does this do is they are the list for quiz of questions. They are the variables when the user selects a certain options and the total number of the correct answers they have selected throughout the application. But there is also a variable which stores the username so that it can be displayed at the end of the progress screen. So coming on to the onCreate method, this method is executed when the activity is created. We can also find the code here. So what does this do is this it makes the application go in full screen and hides all the status bar like I have previously mentioned. So there is also username store. which we are getting the user's name using an intent. We are also initializing the list of quiz questions, and then on the these are the options text view that we are getting from the design, and here is also a next button. So whenever the user selects these designs, these UI, a certain action will trigger. Coming on to this on-click function, it is executed when a certain view is clicked. So as you can see, this is when the user clicks on the first option text view, second option text view, third option text view, fourth option text view, and similarly next button. Coming up to the next button, it is to display the questions and the options when the user uses the application. It updates the UI elements along with the questions and options when the user uh, move forward to the application. Updates the questions as well as the option and the image along with the uh, image hint when the user moves forward in the application. And if the user option is incorrect, then it shows the red option, and if the user option is correct, it shows the green option, and it also allows the user to confirm and hit next on the application. So coming on to the private function display question, so this function is called here. So what does this do is it displays the question when the user selects next and submits their answer, and there is also a right or wrong function. So what does this do? It changes the background if the image is right and if the image is wrong. So this function is called in our previous function known as this function is called here. So it allows the user to see if the chosen answer is right or wrong. So coming up to the final class, which is known as end logic. So what does this do is it simply takes all the data that previously the user have created throughout the application lifetime. So first one is the username. So it takes the username to display in the progress bar. It also takes the total questions the user has completed throughout this application and the total number of right answer the user have completed in this application, and then it shows that in a text view known as the result text view the text, and it shows the score in this format. And finally, if there are also two buttons, so if the user clicks on home button, then they are redirect to the home screen, and if the user clicks on a redo button, then they are redirect to the logic question, meaning the quiz question and answer again to solve the question. So now let us move on to the actual demonstration of this application. So this is our application and let's start running it. So as you can see, there is an edit text where the user can input a username, but if the user does not input a username, there is a small snack bar implying the user to enter a username. Let us enter a username. So as you can see, redirect the user to the question screen where there is a image as well as a progress bar. So the progress bar gives the user two information. The first is the current question the user is on and the total number of question. The one is the current question and five is the total number of question. Yeah. If the user selects the correct answer, it goes green. If the user selects an incorrect answer, it goes red and also shows the user the correct answer. So let us simply go. Yeah. So in the final outcome screen, you can see the name of the user as well as the total score they have gained. So if the user wants to go to the title screen, they can simply press the title screen, put their username again, and yes, simply solve the question. Yeah. And they can also try again. So what the try again does is that it redirects the user to the quiz instead of the home screen, allowing the user to start solving the quiz again instantly. This has been an amazing experience for me working with Oasis InfoByte and creating multiple tasks for the Android application development intensive. I am very grateful for these opportunities and I thank you for watching my demos.